All right, Knuckle Busters. Hey, it's Mario, and we're back at it again. It's Friday night. Another long. It was a long week, I got to tell you. And I'm all ready to complain about the week and how long it's been and difficult it's been. And then we get somebody like our next guest, and our next guest, has done pretty remarkable stuff. And we're going to talk about this feat that he accomplished a while back ago, but we're just going to talk about basically what what got him to this point, his love of riding and everything else. So this Chris, who I'm going to bring on here in a moment, he did 100,000 miles in 100 days. I mean, and that is absolutely phenomenal. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest, Chris Popper. So Chris, I mean, I got to tell you, I know these people, that accomplished the iron butt, and they talk about the iron butt, but then there's you. And I mean, it's kind of like you've got the marathon runners, and then you got those ultra marathon runners, and you're kind of that, ultra marathon runner now, aren't you?
That's what they tell me. I'm just a regular guy, though. Just a regular rider.
Well, I mean, distance and time, it teaches skill and everything else. So, I mean, it takes a lot of skill to get to the point where you're at to ride and do all these things. So, so tell us a little bit about you. I mean, you live in Texas, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
Houston.
So tell me about your upbringing and, did you grow up in Texas? Where'd you grow up at?
Yeah, I grew up in a little town up in the Panhandle, up outside of Amarillo.
Okay.
I was riding motorcycles pretty much my whole life. My stepdad was a really big enduro rider, really amazing rider. So I was around motorcycles the whole time, in the woods and trails and riding stuff like that. So graduated, came to Houston and, had some kids and didn't really do a whole lot, on motorcycles then. I did with my boys, we had dirt bikes and all, but I never really did any street riding or anything.
Sure.
And then when they all got older and graduated, I'm like, it's time to get another bike. So got a bike and started riding with the wife and just kind of took off from there.
Okay, that's outstanding. So I was coming across some stuff of yours, and I'm going to pop up a picture because I was kind of wondering about this now. See, so we came across this, and I had to ask myself. I'm thinking, well, you're a long distance rider. Did you run long distance in track? What did you do in track?
No, I didn't really like running at all. But back then in high school, the track meets, that was a place to go to meet girls. So. The only way you could get to the track meets is you had to enter some stuff. So,
all right,
I did the shortest runs I could do just to get them over with.
Okay, so what'd you compete in?
The 200 and the mile relay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, those are good races, So that pass that baton's not always the easiest thing, is it? It's harder than people realize.
School. Yeah, it's a small school. We were a little 2A school, so. In sports, just like, football or basketball, you started on offense and defense. You played everything. So it was good. It was a good experience.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the way I grew up and everything. It was, small school and everything. And you could be a standout, but you wouldn't have been a standout at a much bigger school. So,
right.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So, all right. So you got, so you grew up and you were around bikes, you were riding and everything else. So when did this really start to take hold for you about doing the distance riding?
So I had always ridden a little more than average, and I don't know what they consider average right now. It was like 8,000 to 10,000 miles a year or whatever. I was averaging, I don't know, 20 something, 25, something like that. 25,000 miles a year or whatever. I wanted to get in some longer stuff. Heard about the iron butt rides, 1,000 miles in 24 hours. I'm like, okay, that'd be cool. Yep. Let me try that. So as I'm looking around, on the internet, trying to find the rules and how it works and all that stuff, I came across some thread about the Hoka Hey. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, shit, 10,000 miles. I'm like, well, shit, why do I want to do 1,000 when I can do 10,000,
Right.
Let's just go right to the top, fight the champ, so that's kind of what I did. And so I wound up actually doing the Hoka Hay in 2018 before I've ever done an iron butt.
Okay.
And just from there, my long distance riding career just kind of took off.
So kind of tell everybody, explain, because I don't think everybody's going to be aware that when you watch this, what the Hoka Hay is.
Yeah, the Hoka Hay is a 10,000 mile ride. No GPS, no electronic devices are allowed. No lodging. You have to, you can't stay in hotels. You have to sleep with your bike. It's literally when you get to the starting line, you line up. They walk down the line, handing you out paper to your first checkpoint, which is typically about 2,500 to 3,000 miles away. It's turn by turn directions. Go 50 miles, turn left on this street. Go less than 100 miles, turn right here. Go, less than 5 miles, turn left here. It's all 2-lane back roads, no interstates. So it's just a grueling ride. You're having to remember a lot of things. Reset your trip odometer every single turn. Make sure you don't pass it up. It says, go 50 miles and turn. I mean, it could really be anywhere between, say, 35 and 70. Okay. The directions are they're within 15%, they tell you. But then, you don't know how far your odometer's off or whatever. So, it's a crapshoot. So, but yeah, I wound up doing that ride before I did any iron butt. And from there, I just started getting into all the long distance riding, the contest, and like Tour of Honor, America's Ultimate Long Distance Riding, RTE stuff, just some of these contests that are out there. Started doing a lot of those and just started doing a lot of certified iron butt rides. So I'm right at 100 right now. I've got enough to where, if you look at it, it's called the Mile Eater on the iron butt page. I got enough to where I should be a diamond status, which is the second one from the top. I think there's only like 20 riders that are that level or something like that. There's not a lot. I don't remember what the exact number is, but it's pretty low.
I can't imagine it is.
Yeah, which just takes it's 100 certified rides, and I think 50 of them have to be gold or multi-day rides. And gold is like 1,500 miles in 24 hours.
Okay.
Some things like that.
So tell folks now you ride Harley, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what's the common bike on the Hoka Hay, for example, that you're going to see out there?
What's what?
What's the most common bike you're going to see on the Hoka Hay?
Probably road glides, because it's limited all American made, if you will.
Okay, I didn't know.
So Harleys, Indians, a couple of Victories, maybe one or two.
Sure.
So yeah, that's gonna be it. So no, none of the BMWs or anything like that are allowed. So.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, a lot of road glides.
Yeah, there would be. It makes total sense. I mean, that's the bike to ride.
Right.
So it's where you can find some comfort and you can just get in the saddle and go. So
exactly.
Now, how long ago did you start doing these rides?
Like I said, it was pretty much 2018. It was after I got after I did the 2018 Hoka Hay. So fairly recent. I'm still a rookie.
Wow.
In the grand scheme of things with some of these riders, I mean, there's some elite riders out there.
There sure is.
They're way next level. So I'm new, but I'm just kind of doing my own thing. So,
okay.
After I heard about that, then you hear about the Iron Butt Rally and some things like that. And that's, you got to be selected to ride in that. You can't just sign up for it. So, and someone had told me once to kind of do my own thing. So I kind of get noticed in order to get selected for that. So that's when, I don't know if you noticed or saw, but so one of the things I've done is I ride my name in every state. So every single one of them has been during an iron butt ride, either 1,000 miles or 1,500 miles in 24 hours. So like when I did it in Texas is the first one I did. It was right at 1,500 miles, my whole name across the state. That's actually pretty cool. I just did that, and that was the only one I was going to do. And they're like, hey, you know what? This would be pretty cool if I did it in every state. So I've got like 19 of them done right now.
So I didn't see that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So what do you do? Follow the now for those, do you track GPS so that you get the whole thing?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's tracking
I
it so that it can show?
Yeah, I map it out. Google Maps or whatever, and you kind of at the mercy of the road. So some of my names they look pretty bad. Texas looks really cool. Oklahoma looks really cool. we've got some good roads that will do it, but there's a few, that the roads are kind of, you're kind of limited to what you got. So some of them
Yeah,
look
like
pretty good. You can tell
New
what it is,
Jersey and
but
stuff like that out
yeah,
east is going
the
to be
East
tough.
Coast, I don't have a lot out there just because it's so small. That's something that, I don't know what I'll do out there, but I'll figure something out. But all of them, I think the lowest one I got was like 300 miles. Most of them are between 400 and 1,000 miles. So I try to get them as big as I can. So yeah, I map it out, plot it out, and then I don't check anything. So I just, if it fits, I do it, and then I go ride it. So sometimes I've been in, some really bad dirt roads in between cornfields and stuff. Like
Sure.
this road should even have a name. It's not really a road, but that's kind of the fun of it to me. I want to get surprised like that. I want to see what happens, and
Well, you're truly seeking adventure.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
stories,
Awesome.
adventures, and memories. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. That's what it should be about. That's what riding's supposed to be about. So I want to pop up another picture because we talk about these things. And so, first of all, I put this because this is you and your wife, correct?
Right.
Okay. And so what does she think about all this riding?
She's supportive. She's not of course she worries, when I'm out on the road. So
Sure.
that's her biggest thing. She's very
That's
supportive,
natural.
but it's just, she has that worry, she doesn't want a phone call in the middle of the night or anything like that. And then, I'll be gone on the road. So, at first it was just a quick overnight while I'm doing 1,000 miles or whatever. And then, then it turned into, I'm going to go do a 4,000 mile ride. And then, next thing you know, it's 100 days on the road. So she wasn't real happy about that one.
No. So now it looks like you guys get opportunity to go out a lot together. Now, is there like a category for like a 2-up situation for both of you?
No. We only rode 2-up for about 6 months, and then she wanted to get her own. So she rides a trike now. She's a great rider. She can tackle. She can't do the long rides with me. She's good for, about 600 miles. That's about as that's about the end of her day. She just, fighting a trike, and she just can't do it. So that's her limit. So that's what we do. We go on trips together.
Sure. So now, when you're not out there, what do you do for a living? What is it that your craft?
Yeah, I'm a real estate investor. So I have rental houses and flip houses.
Okay.
So I can work from pretty much anywhere as long as I have my phone.
That's nice.
So
Okay.
that's what allowed me to do this big ride is I wasn't tied down to a job and having to get vacation or anything like that. And there's plenty of people who could do this ride out there. I know that if they just had the free time.
Right.
So
no, that's outstanding. So let's roll into another picture. So I know where this one's at, but why don't you tell people where this picture's at?
Oh man, what's the name of that? It's West
New
Virginia,
River Gorge.
huh?
Yeah, New River Gorge.
Yeah, New River Gorge. Yeah, and that's if you know where that's at, then that's, I don't know how many. I'm exaggerating, but it felt like thousands of steps to get down to that level.
Yeah, that's a heck of a place to see, and they shut that down. That's I-79 coming down out of Pennsylvania to West Virginia there.
Yeah.
And they shut that down to do bungee jumping off that once a year when they have the festival for that bridge.
Oh, very nice.
So
yeah, that's
pretty
cool.
good stuff.
So yeah, I got to do a lot of stuff on that ride. Like that, I'd pull over and take a quick little hike down there. That was it was a couple of hundred steps or whatever going down, and you got to turn around and come back up. But that's one thing that I enjoyed about that ride is you weren't just out there banging highway miles and not doing anything. I saw a lot of cool stuff. I made a lot of cool stops and everything. So to see some stuff like that.
Right. So going out there, you've seen so much, you've done so much riding and stuff. What's some of the places that really stand out in your mind to you that you've seen that kind of, I know that I've been on rides and and you see them and you're just stunned with the beauty or the wonderment of it. So tell folks some of the things that you've seen out there, because that you might inspire some people here.
Yeah, I hope so. People ask that all the time, and sometimes I mix it up, but I guess the few things. I mean, obviously Noah's Ark was a really cool stop. I spent probably about 4 hours there walking around that. That was pretty interesting. The Grotto of Redemption in Iowa, that was pretty interesting.
Okay.
Wasn't aware of that. It's a quick little stop. I mean, cool little place.
Yeah.
It's called what is it called? Cleater Yacht Club. It's in Arizona. It's 30 miles of dirt road to get to it, and then of course you
I've never heard of that one.
30 miles. It's just a little bar in the middle of nowhere. It used to be an old mining town, and now it's nothing, and literally that's all there is. And I rolled up on that, and of course there was a few people in there, and they're just staring at me. And I asked the lady, I was like, "Have you ever get bikes out here?" She goes, "There's never been a street bike, as far as she knows, make it out there." She goes, "Every now and then we'll get a dual sport or something." But
Right.
I went out and looked in the parking lot, and there was like 7, and I put a picture up, but there's like 7 side by sides there, and then my road glide. So
Really?
that's the only way there, because it's like 30 miles of dirt road just to get to it. So kind of a coolness factor on that place. It's just a little hole in the wall bar, but the whole
Yeah,
experience
absolutely.
and the story and stuff like that to get to it was pretty cool. So
All
it's
right.
literally out in the middle of nowhere, but just kind of things like that. I took half a day to go up to Mackinac Island,
Sure.
parked the bike, took the ferry over, and hung out there. Just walking around for a few hours, and it's amazing that you take those little breaks like that, and they just re-energize you,
Sure. I bet.
100% to get back on and keep going.
Yeah, I know, and I haven't done the riding you have for the distance, but I know if I've been on the bike for a good while, to be able to get off the bike, walk around, stretch your legs and everything else, just a few minutes of that just energizes you, and it just kind of gets the blood flowing back again, and you're ready to go again.
Right.
So as far as like the states, I mean, obviously you're from Texas. Texas has a lot of great riding, has a lot of, wonderful open roads and great little towns. I mean, what other states has kind of stood out, as far as, if somebody was going to say, hey, I want to go somewhere and I want to ride this state. What stood out to you?
Oh, I mean, my hands down, my favorite state is Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, by far leaps and bounds. That's a little hidden gem that I don't think a lot of riders are really aware of. But that's got just some amazing riding along the river. You got Lolo Pass. There's just tons of great riding out there. Beautiful scenery. It's just the roads are nice. That's my favorite by far. And then California and Colorado are probably tied for second. A lot of people don't like California, but I absolutely love riding there. One, because they have some good roads, great roads, but two, the people there are so respectful towards motorcycles. It's just, people talk about, you can lane split and all that, but just the cars will literally, every single one of them will just pull over and let you go by, in the lane, just pull over. Hey, come on past us. They expect it. If you try to do that in Texas, you'll have trucks pull out in front of you, try to run you off the, they're just not going to allow that. But just the people respect the bikers out in California on the roads. It's just like something I've never seen. It's just amazing. So I really love riding out there.
Now, have you rode the 101?
I have.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like the 101 in comparison to going down? I mean, I know it's highway, but running 5 down.
It's good. I mean, anytime you get some decent scenery or whatever, I mean, that's what I enjoy. That's what I like. I like, looking around and taking pictures. Do a lot of stops, take a lot of pictures while I'm riding, and just seeing everything. I mean, that's what it's about. Try, like I said earlier, just try to get those stories, adventures, and memories. That's the goal.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with that beauty taken, like going from Seattle down to the Central Valley of California on 5. Man, it's just beautiful country, windy, highways and stuff like that. So
yeah, I was out in California. I was riding Highway 1 and saw this, amazing pier. It was really early in the morning. I think the sun was just coming up. Beautiful pier. There's no one around. So I pull in there. I'm like, man, I sat there for a few minutes debating, like, man, should I ride my bike down that pier now? What kind of trouble am I going to get into? Right. About that time, I guess the park security guard or whatever was driving around. So I stopped him. I'm like, look, what happens here? He's like, no, you're not allowed. I'm like, okay, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to turn your back and don't look that direction for about 10 minutes. He's like, why? Like, because I'm going to do it. So I'm taking my bike down there. And he, gave me a story about he's going to call the cops. I'm like, well, I'll be gone in less than 10 minutes. I don't think they'll be able to get here in that time. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm not going to cause any trouble. I just want to ride my bike down to the end of that pier, turn it around, get a cool picture, and I'll be out of here. So just drive your truck over there and don't pay any attention to me. He, kept almost. I just took off and I went down the pier. I drove all the way down there, turned around, got a cool picture, and hauled that south.
So. Good job. That's outstanding.
Yeah.
So now you're a rebel too.
So, but yeah, it was fun. I mean, just, stuff like that. You just run across. I'm not big on the planning or anything like that. That's kind of what a lot of people know about me or know, kind of how I ride. I like to wing everything. So I don't do a whole lot of planning. I just, hey, I'm going to go this direction or I'm going to go to this state and I'll figure it out along the way. So it does good in some hands. And I miss a lot of stuff on the other hand, because I didn't, like you went right by this. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know. So,
right.
I miss some stuff, but I also find some cool stuff too. So, I don't know which is better.
I think happen chance is the best. I mean, when you set out and you have this agenda, then all of a sudden there's the pressure of the agenda. When you go where the wind blows you and what feels right and what you should do, to me, that's always been the better way to go.
Yeah.
So I like your philosophy on that. I think it's the right way to do it. So now, as far as other places that are challenging, where have you been that you said, you know what, this is and a rider's a rider, and I understand that. But there are certain places you go to that just are very demanding for a rider. And what have you found out there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the East Coast is a little challenging, just because of the traffic and the speed limits and the congestion. I mean, that's always a tough place to ride. I don't have a lot of experience out on the East Coast, just mainly for that reason. There is some good riding out there, and I've got some friends out there who told me about some great places to go and all that. I just haven't spent a whole lot of time out there. I want to get out there and do a little bit more, but it's not going to hurt my feelings if I don't go out there anymore. It's just, right. It's tough riding out in that area. I really like the kind of west and northwest and northern, northern states, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of a Midwest and over. The East can be very challenging. You go to like Massachusetts and beautiful. Don't get me wrong. There's so many great places to see, but it's congested. The trees are right up against the streets. You don't have the fields. You don't have the visibility. And you're basically focusing on the road and not really getting a chance to take in, some of the scenery. Obviously you can stop, you can get off the bike, you can check some things out, especially along the coast of Massachusetts or Rhode Island stuff, which is beautiful, but in between is a little bit tough.
Yeah. And believe it or not, Texas is I don't like riding in Texas. So on my ride, I was always coming back to my home dealer about every 10,000 miles to get service. And just, I mean, it's a whole day just to get out of Texas.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, you spend, 10 hours just to get out. I mean, it's crazy.
So now, what other places do you at this point in time really want to get out and see and experience?
Man, there's just so much to see out there. I saw a lot. I got to see more than most people probably ever will. And sure. I still just saw a small fraction of what's out there. I mean, it's just unbelievable what our country has to offer. Places to see. I mean, even if it's just some little goofy roadside attraction on the side of the road that doesn't really have any significance other than, somebody built it and threw it up there.
It's fun to see.
There's just some good stuff out there to see. So just, finding that kind of stuff and getting out there and having fun finding it. It's fun. And I know on my ride, I mean, I had a lot of people tell me, oh, I didn't, I've lived in this state my whole life. I didn't even know that was here. And then take off, the next weekend and go see it. So it was cool to kind of, spark someone along to go see something or go ride a little bit more and go get out and see something they hadn't seen before. Yeah.
Now, if you come out to Wisconsin, you got to let me know. we'll point you in the right direction. We'll take you to a couple of places you'll really enjoy. So
Yeah,
let's
and that
pop
was
up.
that was one state I didn't spend a whole lot of time in. I really just rode right up into it and dipped back out. I had plans to get back up there in that area, and weather prohibited it. You know, just didn't. It would. I couldn't make it work.
Yeah, weather does prohibit a little bit around here, especially in the wintertime. It's a
Yeah.
little different than Texas. So we're gonna have Cody pop up another picture here. So you brought this up, and that stood out. And I was gonna say, hey, tell us about this, but you kind of alluded to it already. So, but tell me a little, tell us a little bit more detail about this, where it's at, so the folks out there know, what it is, and what you took from it.
Yeah, so that actually was a stop to where I was getting behind a little bit on my ride as far as miles. Obviously, having to average 1,000 miles a day. I knew first couple of days I'd be able to bang out like 1,500 miles the first day. Then I have a cushion, do 12 or 13 the next day. And that was kind of my plan, is to build up some time, because I knew when I got out east I was going to lose a lot of time just because of traffic and speed limits and stuff. So I don't know. I just started doing so many stops and taking pictures and just having so much fun with the ride. I had a lot of friends texting me, "Hey, quit stopping. You need to make up time. You need to keep going." They were kind of on my case, and my buddy Ken Andrews on this, like, "I'm going to come ride with you, and I'm going to help you make up some time." He was just going to lead me around and try to prohibit me from stopping, so I can make up some time. And we were on this ride, and I told him, like, "Hey, I got just one stop. That's all I want to make is one stop." He's like, "Okay, we'll do it." So pulled off in here, and yeah, I didn't tell him what it was or how long it's going to take. But yeah, about 4 or 5 hours later, we're pulling out of there. So he wasn't real pleased with me on that stop. So, but it was a good time. It was something I'd never seen. It's in Kentucky, and the 4 hours we were there wasn't enough. You need to spend 8 or 9 hours at that thing just walking around. It's just amazing. Just the size of it, and just thinking about how it was built back in the day it's crazy. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, you read the Bible and you read about that feat, and you try to picture in your head. And I still haven't been down there, so I have to get down there. And I see that, and I'm like, what? I still haven't been down there. I've got to get down and check that out. So I think
Yeah.
that sounds like a ride. I have to go there and go to Bardstown, Kentucky, which I love, and that's whiskey capital of the world. So we'll combine some things that maybe shouldn't be combined.
Yeah. Right.
But that's all right. So
yeah, but no, it was a good ride, and it was it was fun having a buddy come out and put some miles with me. We rode a couple days together, and mission accomplished. He pulled me around and kept me on track, and limited my stops, and wound up making up a lot of time and kind of getting back on track.
sure. So now is that common for you to have some buddies or friends or people want to join you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the long distance riders, when they're out doing a big ride like that, other riders will go out and meet up with them, and just for support and encouragement, just ride. It might only be 50 miles, it might be 500 miles, but they just want to show up for support and ride with you a little bit and just kind of be part of it with you. So yeah, I had quite a few people come out and ride with me, and it was great. I mean, it was amazing. I loved it. Loved every bit of it.
So now, do people, so one thing I've encountered, with hiking, like if you hike the some of the big trails across the country, the Appalachian Trail, places like that, they have a term there. It's called trail magic, and what that is that people put food out and do different things like that, or they meet people that are on these hikes, and they invite them into their home, so they can get a shower, they get cleaned up, have a bed to sleep to that night, and then get back on the trail. That's greatly appreciated. Do you find any of that kind of hospitality and stuff when you're out riding, or some of these organized rides that folks do for you?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, like I said, people send you messages all the time. Hey, if you're running through this area, give me a shout. I got a place to stay. If you need a hot shower or meal or whatever, or if you just want to stop, I'll buy you a beer or whatever. So yeah, I mean, just all the time, no matter where I was going, whatever direction, they're like, hey, I see you're coming down whatever highway. I'm 5 miles off, off the highway. If you want, if you need a place to stop or whatever. So yeah,
Okay.
they were always offering up stuff along the way. So it's very, very amazing. Very, very cool.
So now, any of those experiences kind of stand out in your mind that you could tell us about?
I mean, there was a lot. I had a lot of people in different areas of the country who would come out and, like I said, mainly just come out and ride with you. You know, sit down, you know, buy lunch or whatever, and just have a chat and, you know, talk about the ride or whatever. But just having the people come out and you know, it's just it was a big encouragement, another boost. That hey, you know, you do have people watching, you do have people pulling for you and cheering for you, and just to see the support, it was just it's really amazing.
So we had a Michael Waldrop that he requested. He reached out. He wanted us to bring you on the show, and he says, you know, you got to bring this cat on. You got to talk to him because you know it's amazing what he's done, and you know he was on the money with that, you know, and you know, fascinating what you've done. So you know we really appreciate him, you know, telling us about you. Let's pop up another picture real quick. So I liked this picture. I have no idea where it's at, you know, like black and white. So tell us, you know, tell us what, you know, where you're at, what you're doing here.
That's actually in Texas. It's called the Regency Bridge. Again, that's a to get to that bridge is some really cool roads through Texas. Some real big sweepers and winding turns. Yeah, I just rode out there with some friends that we ride with all the time back home. We took a trip out there. You know, basically ride out there, check out the bridge, get something to eat, and take off and go do
Okay.
some more riding.
So where in Texas is that?
It's
What area?
outside. Oh man, what is the name of that? I'm drawing a blank.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, you'll think about it later
yeah,
because that's how I
I
am.
can't think of the city name. Yeah, it's kind of in central Texas, but
Okay.
yeah,
But that's the Regency Bridge. Okay.
Regency
So
Bridge. Yeah.
all right. Outstanding. So let's roll into another picture. So um so you were talking about GPS mapping and I saw this. So
Uh-huh.
tell the folks about this particular
I guess that's
picture.
that's obviously I'm not done with the ride because I see a lot out in California that the track's not there. So I don't know. That's probably 70 or 80 days worth or something. There's quite a bit missing on that one. So yeah, that's just the track. Looks like part of the ride.
So that was part of your, you know, 100,000 miles in 100 days.
Yes.
So what was the most miles you did in a day on that ride?
It was the first or second day. It was right at 1,600 miles, like 1,606 or something like that. Like I said, just to bank some time because I
Okay.
knew I was going to eat it up, and I did again that because of my lack of planning. One of the things I wanted to do was go out, you know, New York area, you know, and just without planning, without even thinking about it, I wound up on a Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock rolling through downtown.
Yeah,
So
that's the worst possible time. I used to
yeah,
live there. So yeah.
yeah. So I lost, you know, 4 or 5 hours just sitting in
Yep.
that mess. So it was a nightmare. You know, all my friends are texting me, you know, tell me what a dumbass I am, and you know what was I thinking, and this I'm
What
like,
are friends for?
yeah, like I wasn't thinking. You guys know me. I just didn't even think about it. You know, I didn't even really know where I was. I was just going, and here's where I wound up. You know, stuck going through Queens or something in you know 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. It was horrible. You know, it was
Yeah, because it's
100 degrees. It was hot. I was miserable. Yeah, it just wasn't pleasant.
no. That's a whole different beast right there. So
Yeah.
so we're gonna roll it. So I want to grab another picture. So this kind of stood out to me a little. It's just got me thinking. So you know what? When you're riding that distance, when you make that kind of commitment, the one thing you can't control for sure is the weather. So
Right.
tell me some of your weather experiences that you encountered out there, because I'm sure there's been some interesting ones.
Yeah, so unlike, you know, if you're doing a rally or something like that to where you have to get to a certain destination, you know, no matter what the weather is, obviously on this ride, if I saw a lot of weather, I could turn and avoid it and just go a different direction. Even if it just meant turning around and going right back down the road I was on, just to not get wet if I didn't feel like it or whatever. I don't mind riding in rain. I do it a lot, you know, and it's okay. But, you know, on a big ride like that, if you can avoid it, then just go ahead and do it if you know nothing else for safety reasons or whatever. So I avoided a lot, but there was a few big storms that, and I don't remember what their reasoning was, but I just had to get to that direction, or I wanted to get that direction, and there was just no way to get through it, so I just had to punch through it. And there was a couple. There was one, I think, I don't know, it was like 6 hours straight just getting rained on. It was pretty miserable. But a funny story about one of those. I was probably, I don't remember where I was. I want to say I was like in maybe, I thought I was up in Utah or somewhere in there. Just went through. Actually, it was that same night. It was like 6 hours in the rain, but I pushed through. So it was a few hours later. It was in the evening, and I was probably only, I don't know, like 800 or 900 miles that day. I was pretty close to where I needed to be. Pulled into a hotel, and I'm standing there waiting to check in, and this guy comes rolling in. Big guy, he's probably 6'3", 6'4", riding a little Honda. He was just soaking wet. He had no gear on. I had full climb gear on. I was fine. I was just, ready to get my room, sleep, whatever. But I mean, soaking wet, this guy, but he came in and he was so happy. Just, we're standing there in line, and he was telling me, he goes, man, I just bought this bike because I've only been riding for like 3 months. I got my license like 3 months ago. He goes, I
Wow.
forget where he said he was from. He goes, I'm headed out to California. He goes, I'm on a little 5,000-mile trip. He goes, I'm just having a blast. He goes, I'm soaking wet. He goes, look at my bike out there. And I look, just a little bitty Honda. I mean, way too small for this guy. He had just his
Right.
little pack strapped on the front. Just, it was coming apart. It was just a mess. I mean, this guy was a wreck. But the look on his face, he was so, even through all that and getting pounded with rain, he was just smiling. He goes, this is just horrible. And he even said, he goes, this bike doesn't fit me. He goes, but it's my first bike. I don't even think about it. He goes, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to make it to California. He goes, I'm just having a blast. And he goes,
Good for
well,
him.
yeah. He goes, what'd you do? How you been riding or whatever? And I said, honestly, I got like 200 miles today in this rain, pushed me off. I'm done. I wanted to let him have that moment,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to spoil that. But so I'm hoping he has a good story. He goes back and tell all his friends that, hey, I ran into this guy with all this high-dollar gear on, a big expensive bike, and he couldn't even make it 200 miles in the rain. And, and I rolled in with 600 on my little Honda. And,
Right.
so I was trying to give him a good story, and I hope he took it and ran with it. So
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So now I want to bring up another picture because, this might seem silly, but you know what? How many tires have you gone through?
on that ride,
Just, yeah, that ride.
yeah. Oh, I think I used 7 or 8 sets. I told my dealer a couple months before to order 10 sets, and
Okay.
I think I wound up using 7 or 8 of them. Yeah.
All right. And then tell me about some of the, I mean, because that's another thing, when you're out there on your bike, it's you and your bike and stuff like that. So, tell me about some of the issues, some of the stuff you had to worry about, things that, came about.
Really, thankfully, and it, probably never happen again. But that's one thing where I didn't have any issues. No mechanical issues. I came
Wow.
back to my home dealer, like I said, about every 10,000 miles to get service. That was kind of one of the things when I started is one, I have a maintenance plan at my dealer. So, I prepay it. So I have
Sure.
free services. And then the second thing is I just want one set of hands on this bike. I don't want to be bouncing around to different dealers around the country, each blaming the previous dealer for some problem or whatever. So I just want one set of hands, my home dealer that I know, because they're great there. They take care of my bike. They know how to ride. They know what to look for. So I'm like, yeah, just that's how I wanted to work it so that I hopefully didn't have any issues. And it worked out that way. I mean, I got 2 flat tires, picked up 2 nails, but other than that, I had no issues. Just come in on service and they took care of it and changed what needed to be changed and kept me on the road. So I was very thankful for that.
Okay. So, there's a lot of preparation that you have to do, to do something like this. And I mean, so I think there's probably going to be some people that listen and they hear you talk about this and they're like, maybe they've thought about this for years and years. First of all, what did you find out that you weren't prepared for, that you learned that you would pass on to others that they need to do their due diligence?
Um, Man, you just got to know your limits. You got to know where you're at. My shortest day was like 600 miles. You got to really know your body. And, you know, I tell people all the time, there's a difference between being tired and being sleepy. If you're
Sure.
tired, you know, you can push through tired and catch that second wind and get another, you know, 300 or 400 miles in a day. But tired, you know, your eyes are rolling around in the back of your head or whatever. You cannot push. There's no amount of caffeine or energy drinks or whatever it is you do that's going to get you past that. At some point, your body is just going to shut down and you're going to fall asleep. Whether
Sure.
you're riding or standing up or whatever you're doing, there's the point. So you just got to kind of know your body, know your limits, and know where, you know where that line is, know where that cutoff is to be safe and to do it. In my shortest day, that 600, it was just from the get go, from the morning I got on the bike, I just could not, you know, like every 100 miles, I have that auxiliary fuel tank, so I can get, you know, 425 miles in between gas stops if I want to. But this, I couldn't get more than 100 miles, and I was pulling over I was finding an excuse. Oh, I need to go to the bathroom, or, oh, let me check something, or I just got to get off the bike. And it just, after about 600 miles, like, you know what? I think my body's just telling me that I just got to shut it down.
Sure.
And then that was about around day 50-ish, 55, something like that. So I knew, okay, I'm 400 miles, which is a lot, you know, 400 miles short of where I need to be. But obviously I can make up 400 miles over 40 days pretty easy. That's not a whole lot. So I just said, yeah, I just had to shut it down. Went and I got a really good night's sleep, let my body rest, and I felt like $1,000,000 the next day. I mean, that's what I needed. It was just, you know, I was ready to conquer the world that next day. You know, it was like day one. It was brand new, just, you know, but that's where my body was letting me know that, you know, we can't do this anymore. We need a break. And that's where he took it. So there was a couple of days where I did like 800. And whereas that day I pushed it longer than I should have. As soon as I felt that way from the beginning, I'm like, okay, I need a rest. So it's only 800 miles, but shut it down. I'll make it up. You know, the next day I'll do, you know, 11 or 12 and do that a couple of days, and I'm right back on track.
So what did you notice, you know, as far as, you know, from day one of doing that ride? And I know you've done other, you know, rides and you've done a lot of long distance, but, you know, 100,000 miles in 100 days. What was your conditioning? Did you feel a difference in your personal conditioning, your physical or mental conditioning from day one to the end of that?
No, I really didn't. So my initial thought was, okay, from day one to day 45 was not going to be a problem. So so the previous record was 45,045 days
Okay.
by Matt Wise up in the Dallas area. So obviously I had a goal in mind. I'm like, okay, I've got something to focus on. That's going to be my driving factor to get to that 45 days. And then I thought, okay, from day, like, you know, 46 to day, you know, 80-ish or something like that is going to be super hard. One, because there's no one I can ask about it, because no one's been there, no one's done that.
Right.
There's no end in sight, you know, so I've got nothing to look forward to. I'm just out here on this island by myself trying to figure things out. And I thought then that last 20 days will be a breeze, because the end's in sight. I've got something to look for. I've got another goal. And it actually wanted to be in the complete opposite. So yes, day 1 through 45 was great. In fact, Matt Wise came out and rode with me on that day, all
That's
day.
cool.
We did about 1,000 miles together. So he came out support. That was awesome. That was a really big highlight of the
That
trip.
is awesome.
But it was that day 46 to like day 80 that was the best time ever. I just had a blast, and I think it was because there was no goal in sight. You know, the end was too far away. I couldn't focus on that. So it was just, hey, go ride, do your, do your thing, have fun, enjoy it. And that's what I did. And about that day, those last 15 or 20 days were the absolute worst. I think I would start focusing on the end, and I'm almost done. And, you know, don't mess up. You know, I was worried about messing up right before the end, or wrecking, or, you know, mechanical
Sure.
breakdown or anything like that. And I just have to tell myself, stop it. Just keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy your ride. Have fun. Do the same kind of stops, do whatever. And yeah, but it was those last few days were really hard.
So what would you consider the biggest challenge that you had in doing that? I mean, there would have been a lot of challenges. I mean, and the fact that, I mean, you really downplay it, you know, you're like, well, you know, and you know, and I think that's the kind of guy you are, because you just you take it head on, and it is what it is. but, there had to be something that, maybe was a little bit more difficult than others.
Um, I think once you get to a certain level, I mean, obviously, no one who, if you haven't done any long distance riding, this is not a ride you're just going to go out. Hey, I just want to do 100,000 miles in 100 days. You've got some experience that's going to get you to that point to where you're willing to attempt it. If you've never ridden more than 500 miles in a day, you're not going to go try this. I mean, that's just,
Right.
you're not ready. There's no way you could pull that off. I think one of the biggest challenges, I guess, would probably be on the nutrition side, eating right. We've all got our little quirks and nuances and routines that we do on a 1,000-mile ride, a 1,500-mile ride, a 4,000-mile ride, even like the Hokey, which is 10,000 miles. But it's about a 12-day ride, so you can punish your body, for a week. You can kind of not eat what you're supposed to and just, pushing your body to the limits, with not a lot of sleep and everything that it takes to accomplish that. But on a ride like this, it's just so long at some point, like I was saying earlier, your body it tells you, hey, this ain't working. I need something. So one of the times I was up so I was doing what I'm getting at is I was doing my same routine that I do on the shorter rides. Not realizing that, okay, it's fine for the short term, but in the long term, it's going to catch up to you. Man, where were we? I don't remember where I was, but I was starving. I had to eat, so I pulled over, I went in a restaurant and I ordered like $200 worth of stuff. I ordered like almost one of everything, just an appetizer, a couple of different entrees, some desserts, and I just gorged myself, just massively overeating. And of course I felt like shit,
Right.
but I was just so hungry that, jerky and snacks and a little sandwich and just the normal stuff that we eat on a ride that's real quick, that you can eat going down the road or whatever, just wasn't cutting it. My body needed some nutrition. And just being hungry and starving, I ordered all the wrong stuff. It wasn't like I was trying to eat healthy. I wanted food.
Yeah, you're just going to consume something, right?
Yeah, and I gorged myself, and it took me 2 days to recover from that. So then I realized, okay, that's obviously not the answer. So I got to actually sit down and have a decent meal, once a day, just, nice, pretty healthy, somewhat healthy, meal, some vegetables and, a nice protein, and just, kind of really take care of my body from then on. So that I kind of switched it up and did that. And going back to what I said earlier, you think those stops are going to hinder you because you're taking an hour out of the day to eat when you can just eat a sandwich going down the road. But the nutrition and making your body feel so good, it actually helps you to perform better.
So what kind of advice, I mean, people are going to be listening to this and they're going to be like, this is something I want to do. I want to start riding some distance and everything else. What kind of advice would you give folks that want to start, getting into the distance riding and doing those sort of things?
Man, if you're just getting started, it's just like anything else you're starting. I mean, reach out to some people, get some advice, go to some of the events, hang out with them, see how people equip their bikes, see what kind of gear they're using, how what are you eating on your rides? How are you eating? Are you stopping? Are you just you just getting a sandwich from a gas station? Are you packing food? Just all of us have our own little routine and things that we do to keep us on the road. And sometimes you'll see something like, oh, I want to try that, and it just doesn't work. A lot of people ask, hey, what do you use for this? What do you use for this? And sometimes I'll tell them, but sometimes I'm like, me telling you is not going to matter. You need to go figure it out, because it works for me, it may not work for you.
Sure.
So you need to figure it out. You can't just jump in and start where I am. It took me a lot of trial and error to figure out my routine. You kind of need to do the same thing. I'll give you a few pointers that I think will help, but there's some things that I don't want to tell you just because I don't think it's going to help you. And in fact, it may hurt you because it took me a long time to make it work for me.
Sure.
So, go figure out what's going to work for you, whether it's, what do you want to drink? I don't do any energy drinks or anything like that. They make me feel funny. So, I'll drink a Coke. The only time I drink Cokes is when I'm riding. So that's kind of
Okay.
my, to get me through the night. I'll drink a Coke, get a little bit of caffeine, and that works. So none of the energy stuff or anything like that. I've tried a bunch of different stuff. It just really doesn't work. I get that jittery feeling, or I just kind of feel uneasy. I found that this is what works for me. So you got to kind of do your thing and what works for you, and how do you want to equip your bike, and what do you want to bring, what do you want to carry. So start going to some of those events, and there's tons of get-togethers out there of long-distance riding. A lot of the contests, just enter them, kind of see what people are doing, and you're just starting somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So, any plans to maybe break the 100 days, 100,000 miles?
I would love to, but it would be a while. So yeah,
Okay.
I can honestly say it was. People say it would be grueling and all that, but I can say without hesitation, 100%, that was the most fun ride I've ever done. It was just I would love to just kept going. So
Well, if you do,
it was a blast.
if you go back out to break it, then let's get together again here on Knuckle Busters and let's talk about
Yeah. Okay.
it. And
I'm sure someone's going to break it here pretty quick.
well, it won't be too quick. It'll be at least 100 days, right?
Yeah. I fully suspect someone to take off this year to do it. But we've only
Okay.
got about another month for them to do it. So if they don't hear about it in the next month, then it's going to have to be next year. Because once you get past July, I mean, you're kind of running out of the weather window to
you're
make it
running out
work.
of time and everything.
Yeah. So if anyone out there is listening and you are the one who wants to go out and break it, my hat's off to you. Go for it. Call me on day 100. Let me ride with you on day 100 to support you. But make it reasonable. 102,000, it breaks it, but that's kind of cheesy. You need to go up to like 105, 110, something respectable.
The distance riders, and that's one thing I've learned, is that there's a really special camaraderie amongst you guys and gals. Yeah. We've had, I've had like Mama D on here. She does a lot of riding, and she's pretty intense and everything else. But it's just always, you folks are always talking about how you pull together. And I know that's the motorcycle community, but it seems to be especially so amongst the distance riders.
Oh yeah, it's a great brotherhood, great. A lot of great people out here doing this, and like I said, I know there's quite a few people, and I could name off probably 10, off the top of my head, who could do this ride if they had the time off from work, and,
Right.
and the funding or whatever. But so it's I just got lucky to be the first one. So
Sure.
so I'll always have that. I'll always be the first. But yeah, I fully expect someone to roll in at 150 or 200 here pretty quick.
So, is there any special reason or purposes you've ridden for?
Yeah. I mean, this ride was for it's called Mile Monsters. It's for kids, to help kids who have Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy, which is a type of muscular dystrophy that mainly affects little boys. So it just starts attacking their muscles. The life expectancy of them is like 21 years old, I think it is. I mean, it just starts hitting the muscles and just takes them down right away. I mean, it's horrible.
Sure.
So yeah, we were raising money for them, and we wound up getting seeking out the kids individually and helping them live their best life is what we say. So if they're in need for stuff, a kid out in California, Turbo, he hadn't been out of his room in a couple of months just because they didn't have a way, they didn't have transportation or anything. So we helped them get a van. They were actually in the middle of a fundraiser trying to raise money to get them a van, a wheelchair van. They were short, I don't know, $8,000 or $9,000 or whatever. So we stepped in and paid the rest of it, got them the van, went out there and met them personally. And that we still talk to them. I've been out there a few times since then, just go out there and hang out, see how they're doing. And another kid actually close to where I'm at, Gavin, another guy, Drew, out in Pennsylvania. So we're just, helping all these kids with whatever they need to, to help, help them live their best life.
And I love that statement, help them live their best life. And I think
Yeah.
that's true to help others live their best life. And I think it's true that we need as ourselves to live our best lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
how can people, if they want to, support you when you're riding and support these causes, how do they get a hold of you? How do they reach out to you? What would you recommend?
Reach out to me on either Facebook or Instagram. You can go to on a Facebook page. It's called Mile Monsters Inc. We do a
Okay.
lot of stuff there. Same with the website, milemonstersinc.com. You can see stuff there. I'm actually riding for them, raising money for them for the Hoka Hay.
Okay.
So actually, I think I got one over here. Let me see if I can find it. But we actually got. Where is it? Hold on one second. Let's see here. Give me 1 second.
Oh, take your time. We want to see this because we want people to know.
So one of the things that I do is we do a lot of like challenge coins to help raise money or
Yes.
whatever. So one of the things I did for the kids, the 3 kids that we're doing, is we made a coin for them. I don't know if you can see it, but
Yeah, I've seen the other pictures of the challenge coins in your Facebook page. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So we put the 3 kids on them. So we put their picture on them. So we got coins with all 3 kids on them. That's Turbo out in
That's
California.
awesome. Love it.
Drew, Pennsylvania. So
Okay.
yeah, so you can go to the Mile Monsters page there. You can see that, and then my personal Hoka Hay coin. So we did quite a few coins on the big ride for different things. Which we raised a little over $100,000 on that ride. It's kind of my goal is 100,000 miles, 100 days to raise $100,000.
Outstanding.
So we hit it. So yeah, just check out the Mile Monsters, and 100% of the money goes to it. We just go directly to these boys, whatever they need, and as they get older, they're going to need more stuff.
Sure.
Whether there be a van or some modifications in the home or equipment. We also sent Turbo out in California, got him a lift to help get him out, of bed into the bath or out of a car or whatever. So we're actually bringing these 3 boys. Part of my fundraiser that I'm doing for the Hoka Hay this year is we're taking part of that money to bring all 3 of the families to the end of the road party.
Okay.
In July, so they can meet a lot of the riders. A lot of the riders have actually went out to them individually on their own and met them, which is cool. So they like following all the riders, and people send them stuff and all that. So they're actually coming to the end of the Hoka Hay, so they'll get to meet a lot of people in person there. So that's actually pretty cool. So again, just goes back to that might be the only trip or the last trip some of these kids get to take. It's just that sad reality that they might not be able to do anything after that. So you just never know with this horrible disease.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're blessed to have you in the world, Chris, because you stepping up and the other people stepping up for them, that's a beautiful thing. So be proud of yourself. And I'll tell you what, all the fellow riders out here are proud of you. And maybe something you can do is maybe we could do something, obviously with permission of the family, but maybe we can get some addresses to the kids, the boys and stuff. We can share that on social media. Maybe do a little card drive. You have them send some cards out from folks across the country.
Absolutely, and the families are 100% on board with it. They like doing that stuff, and they send stuff back. The kids will make stuff. Gavin's like a really cool artist. He'll draw stuff. He'll draw a picture and send it to you or whatever. Their addresses are actually on the Mile Monsters Facebook page.
Okay.
We ask people, hey, send them something.
Yeah, we'll grab that and we'll share that on our pages and stuff like that and get that out there. I'd love to do that. So
absolutely, that would be amazing. I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd love to support you, and I'd love to support them for sure. So, well, at every show we have 3 questions we ask folks, and so we're gonna ask you your 3 questions. They're same questions. All right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think these, you've had a lot of time in the saddle. So, your question, your answers are going to be, I'm sure, interesting. So first question, if you could go ride with anybody, past or present, who would you like to ride with?
Man, what kind of ride?
I guess it's a long ride. I don't know. It's whatever you want to do.
Obviously, I like riding with my wife. We don't get to ride a lot together on some longer rides. We do some local stuff.
Right.
But like I said, as far as long rides, she's only good for a certain number of miles per day. So we don't which takes up a lot of time. So we'll do a few trips,
Sure.
to Colorado or whatever, but we just don't get to spend a lot of time like that. And obviously if I take off on a ride like this, I'm gone by myself. So, her, and then, I guess someone else. Let's see. I don't know what's his name. Dave Zane or something like that, who's got a couple million miles.
Yeah.
You want to ride with somebody like that. I'm sure there's some cool stories there, and I'm sure
Yeah,
he knows
absolutely.
some places to go see, or that some unhidden gems out there that I'm not aware of that he could point out. So yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's a good idea. Now, this is I'm not sure how you'll answer this one, but if you could own and ride any bike, what would that be?
I gotta stick with the Harley right now. I gotta stick with the Road Glide. It's done me well, so I can't turn my back on it.
Okay. Now this question, if you ride anywhere in the world, where would you like to ride?
I'm not sure, because Pass is one that's really on my bucket list right now. So I definitely want to get that. I think that's is that in Spain? I think it is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's supposed to be a really, really cool ride.
Say that again. You broke up very slightly just as you said that. Was the only time you broke up.
Stelvio Pass.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah. So that's the one that's on the list. So I'm trying to figure out how to put that one together.
Yeah, is that where Hannibal took the elephants across to go up through and come up around?
I have no idea.
No, they could ride there, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very cool. So, well, you know what, Chris, I'm really looking forward to following your ride. I encourage people to check out the Facebook page, follow you, your experiences and everything. It's an opportunity for me to vicariously live through somebody else and the cool things you're doing. And maybe someday when I got the time, I can just jump on the bike and go. So, but thank you for, going out there, experiencing the world and really, showing us the world through your eyes as well. We really appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you having me. And, I hope I could, inspire someone to just go ride a little bit more than what you're doing. That's what I tell people all the time. A lot of people say, I could never do what you do or whatever. And you don't have to. Everybody's different. So, I tell people, if you rode 10,000 miles last year, go ride 12,000 this year.
Exactly.
That's huge. That's a huge accomplishment to you. You did something awesome to you. If you rode 50,000 miles, go ride, 55 or 60. If you only rode 5,000, go ride 6,000. Whatever it is, just get out there and ride a little bit more and see some different stuff. And it's always easier to ride with a purpose. Have a destination to go see. So, and like I said, during my ride, I had a lot of people, like I told you earlier, I never knew that was there. That's a cool place. I want to go see that. Then, make a list of something and just get out there and go see it. There's your reason to ride. You're setting a path to go see this or ride this road or whatever it is, and just get out there and do it.
Outstanding. I love it. So, yeah, we definitely hope to catch up with you soon. And like I said, if you're in this part of the country, Wisconsin, Northern Illinois, hit us up because we'd like to go ride with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate it a lot.
I appreciate you coming on. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. And hey, everybody out there, thank you for joining us.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.